Hello, listeners. Hi, my name is Madhavi, and I'm so happy to have you on UppTalk. You have come to the right place if you want to learn about IT and do really cool things with your hands. We are not just another IT company when I say UppTalk. Think of us as your learning partner dedicated to helping you reach your full potential. We have top notch hands on courses to help you build your business, whether you're new to technology or want to move up in your current job. Let's look around this as our first step towards learning.
All basically, these are the questions I can answer you on a macro level that you can build some stories and around it if you want it. For the end, for the interview part, you can what the expect is that in Workday there won't be a question and answer that what is 1 plus 1? It's 2. There won't be such questions there. Will be scenario based questions only. You should be prepared if you are creating a scenario, you should be able to answer it if they ask the questions around that. You can tell them that you have worked on various scenarios. First of all, you can use the current scenario which you used, benefit and performance report, which integration you created. You can add some complexity to it. You can add some more things to it, that you can add more complexity to it and make a story out of it by creating a scenario around that particular issue. That is one scenario. Secondly, is that you can let them on my personal. I will give my personal projects which I have worked on recently, that job request in dashboard, that there was a project which you worked as a Workday as a job request in dashboard is that the previous client had already implemented job requisition dashboard, job requisition or recruiting module into Workday, but they used to have the job requisition details in the legacy system. It wasn't active into the Workday. In order to map it and to deprecate or to censor the legacy system, they had to migrate all the things to the Workday for the dashboarding purpose for the management. In order to do that, you created a report. First of all, custom report into the Workday, which was having generic candidates data or worker data into it. And secondly, all the job requests which are already there in the legacy system, you took that data and migrated to the Prism VSTP. Basically, you have two data sources. One is custom report, other one is job request in dashboard. And once you brought those things into the Prism, you got up. Now you have to do the transformation around it. Now going ahead, you first of all combine that both of the data candidates. Already if there is an existing data available or not, and if not, you were using the legacy data for it. Majorly, it was a transformation thing, less of a ingestion, but more of a transformation thing over there. You need to create a call field based upon the lead times you already have some dates available in the system and to configure the lead time or maximum high date because let's say someone is doing a job posting as of let's say someone did a job posting today, they might have some target in mind that we will anyhow hire someone within 30 days because it's a priority. In order to calculate it, we created a custom. We created a calculator field in which it will calculate the date to that difference. The more the date is near to the job closing date, the more it will be crucial for. The more it will be crucial for the recruiter. Keep in mind that we are short of time. For this one, the calculation which we used was I will give a simple example that today minus the job posting date. Let's say if a job posting has been done, let's say today is I think 22. Job posting has been done on 15th of October and it's 7 days now. It's less priority or that. But as that difference increases, it becomes a higher priority. Because the job posting end date is within 30 days, you need to hire someone. The more the difference between them, the more it will take time to hire someone. It will be more difficult for someone to hire. Just that you build various calculations around this particular logic, just lead time or what is the trends of it. What is this you did for the future hire for future job recs? Apart from this future recs you also worked on, you can also mention that you also worked on the existing job requisition. If you're already closed, you can understand a trend that, let's say, if you're posting a job requisition on a social media or somewhere or anywhere, we need you calculated how much time it usually takes to hire a person. It basically makes you understand the trends of the market. In future also, let's say you want to hire someone. You can plan the hiring accordingly because let's say if someone is hiring, I came to know that it takes around 30 days for me to hire someone. But we only keep 30 days at 10 to 9, we can expect to start looking for someone. Prior to 30 days, only before actually it is required, let's say for company wants drivers for, let's say there's a shipping company and they want drivers to for their trucks to drive, they know that during the demand it will be very tough to hire someone. They see the trend and based upon the previous year's trend, they will start looking for the drivers as early as possible that they don't have a workforce crunch going ahead. This is one example which you put. Second example is any questions regarding this scenario? No, no, I understood, I got it. We still rehearse this recording. You will have a better understanding. That's why I'm not talking too much. I can rehearse 3, 4 times and I can know what exactly how to do, how to make my own story after that. Main fundamental is to understand the scenario and explain the scenario. If you understand the scenario, you will be able to make some story in and around that particular topic. That is the only objective of it. Basically, here they will ask that what kind of Kyle field you use or what kind of things you use, and all this thing they will mention. In that you can say that I applied filter condition based upon particular demographic locations. Just if I want to hire different cities, you create different data sets for different states of the US, that to see the trends that certain states you are able to hire very quickly. Certain states are not able to do it. Apply stage as filter and apart from it to calculate the distance between the job posting date and today. Date. You created a casual dated difference, just that we created yesterday only. Apart from it, you can mention that you created an average you. First of all, you found a date difference from job posting date and hiring date for existing close. Stop requisition and apart from it after doing that. When once you create that thing, you got the difference for all, the close stop requisition, how much days it took to hire. Then out of it you took the average of it. That what is the average time of combined one? That is one example. Second example would be hybrid working. You can mention that for you can use for same client or for certain client which you want. You can mention that there was hybrid working and we need to post to the management are the people are utilizing the hybrid working or not. First of all, there was already a data. It was already used in the legacy system. There was data, but there was a BI tool which they were using previously and they were deprecating it. But moving ahead, they want to see that if they want to deprecate it and they had to apply this hybrid working into the system and see that people are following or not. You already have a file, approval file, that whether the worker has those permissions or to do the hybrid working first of all. And if he doesn't have permission and still he is doing hybrid working, those workers should be flagged off. That is one thing. And secondly, you need to see that how many hours they are working in office. You had the one data source as the days they work in office, which is punch in and punch out time, and the days when they are on leave or means they are on vacation. And the third is the days on they worked on hybrid working. You combine these three data sources and did a join on it for the work, and you had the four data set, which is workers demographic, which is available from Workday Custom Report. And you combine these four of them and you did the analysis that how many people are working, how many days. Let's say if someone has permission of doing only 2 days of hybrid working, they're doing only for 2 days, but they're working more than that, then these should be flagged off. And if they don't have at all, let's say if they don't have at all the permission, still they're doing hybrid working, then those should be flagged off. And how many people are coming on Mondays, how many people are coming on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, that the seating arrangement in the office can be done accordingly. Because what happens is you have office space good enough, but let's say all the people are coming on, let's say on particular days, let's say they are coming on Mondays and Tuesdays only, and very less people are coming on Friday, and Friday the office is very empty, and on the Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, the office is very full. To compensate the seating arrangement and to all the things we can use this particular, we fit this thing for hybrid working. That makes sense. Thank you for that. And I checked from the worksheet part. There's nothing much which is left discussed. These are There are only copies of the function which are very similar to the Excel file, which are self history. I would suggest to have a work around it and do some practice on it and let me know. Basically, we have almost covered all the courses. If you have any questions regarding your interview and something we can work on it. That This is a little bit important for me. As I mentioned, this is very hard for me to make up the stories unless until I didn't work on these areas particularly. They're asking I had a couple of interviews earlier. They were asking these kind of questions only. Accomplishment, I have this document also. I mean, that is going to be a big help me because on the failures of my interviews, become a little stronger and less until I know what I'm doing also. Accomplishment, and these are the things. What are the accomplishments and learning from failures? An example, if we go over that. Your voice is breaking, sorry. Asking now, these are the accomplishments and learning failures related to Prism or something. If you have any insights, some explanation around this, that also. Accomplishment and learning failures is that you can mention that in accomplishing learnings that the learning was that it is not every time that all the feasibility by the client is or by what a logic actually supports it. You can mention that that the data type from legacy system and Workday both are different systems, and we can expect it to be almost same. We can try to match up as much as possible, but theory is very different from the practical part. The data types are different. Everything is different. We can't replicate it exactly, but we can try to match it up as much as possible. That is one thing. And the main issue is that if they say that explain that scenario, then you can mention that previously for the hybrid working. Initially, there was no data available in terms of day. The data was available into hours. It was very hard to determine how many hours that work person work. Standard working hours are 40 hours per week. Each day 8 hours, got it. But here, let's say if someone has a work hours of, let's say, 60 hours, it might be as 6 days of work, but obviously 5. There's only 5 working days. They can't work 6 days unless they're working on Saturday and Sunday. But if they're working on from Monday to Friday and they're having not 40 years, they're having 60 hours, means 20 hours extra. Means they are doing some overtime, but that it was very hard to determine it. But somehow they come with a logic to consider. They had a logic to consider that if someone is working 5 days a week, they will divide it by 8 hours only. By that, they came to know that there will be a standard practice. This will definitely have some error in calculation. But because there was no many particular available, this was the issue. But going ahead to improve this accuracy of this particular one, you try to improve it, improving by to get the punch down date data to be recorded in days. As if someone is punching from a morning to evening, they won't record in terms of hours. It's definitely they will have an art as, but there will be a separate data, a column within days. As you understand this logic which I explained, that 60 years and 40 years, because there was issue, because ideally if we say it is more than 5 days of work, if someone says that I work from Monday to Friday but is going 60 days 60 hours, it will be hard to calculate where in such complex scenarios, and complexity increases more when we have vacation also to be taken in. Vacation, because let's say someone has vacation, let's say there's 5 days a week working, let's say 8 fours are how much? It is 40, 40, not 40, less than 40 for 32 too. Sorry, 32. I haven't 8. Hours less, 32 hours are there. He worked from Monday to Thursday, and Friday he was on off. Ideally, he should be getting 32 hours, but let's say he worked each day to 2 hours extra, which accounts to 40 or 50 hours. Here it becomes tricky that, according to calculation, we feel that he worked 5 days, but no, he worked for 4 days, only each day of that 4 days he worked to 2 hours extra or 1 more extra, and on 5th day he worked for 5 days. He took the time off. These are the issues, challenges which you faced. And how do you deal it? You deal with creating a standard thing by dividing by 8 hours. For now, it was less accurate, but to optimize it, you propose with an idea to also capture the time in terms of days, as that we can have more accurate data. That is what your accomplishment is, that you can mention that you propose this idea. You will see this idea. Basically, they then thought that your accuracy is not good. They might deprecate it. You propose that going ahead, you can ask the vendor who is getting the time recorded for the workers to do a configuration that it captures in days. temporarily the capturing was being done on an early basis, which was less accurate. But going ahead, we also integrated days as, which include the accuracy. By that, we were successful in deprecating the BI tool, which had a dependency of using this hybrid working analytics and all. And I think they will ask not more than 2 or 3 scenarios. Basically, you have 2 scenarios which you worked on. One is yours, then I give GRD top the question dashboard. And that third one is hybrid working. In the end, you can also mention for all of 3 of them that you create a discovery board or you forwarded this. After publishing the dataset, you forwarded this requirement. You created some basic discovery boards and you forwarded this requirement to the reporting team, which they created tag board in Workday. Any strength and areas to improvement. Anything this kind of scenario takes some time. Take some time to identify my key strengths, to live into the role you have applied for, considering technical skills, personal qualities, showing a willingness to grow on, demonstrate, committing, and areas of improvement. Strength. You can mention that in the habit of working, when people were thinking that they won't be able to replicate the BI tool, at that time you use your skills, analytical skills, to go ahead, move out of your step, and try to communicate with, to try to establish a contact communication with the vendor who is looking or the team who is looking after this time data. Punch in, punch out. There might be many vendors who will be providing it. That machine is their punch in, punch out. Basically, it integrates the data. You approach them, you try that. Is there any feasibility to do that? I found that there might be some feasibility which they can check, and luckily they checked. And we found out if that wasn't the case, then that client would have still the dependency on that BI tool, which we now have successfully deprecated. And areas of improvement, you can mention that. Areas of improvement. I think you can mention a generic thing to it. That should be fine. See here some of the I know someone guy. When does send it to me? Can you walk us through this technical project you worked on, highlighting your specific role and challenges you faced with? What was the outcome and how did you work? Need to learn. Let's say Prism or something. Just a second, I'll read it out. Can you walk through the recent technical projects you worked on? Highlight your specific roles. What was the outcome and what did you learn from it? This is the technical project. Basically, these are the macro questions which they will ask. I explain the scenario and you can build the questions around this one. What I did is I explained you whole scenario. You can now break things into it based upon the questions. See, you also know that these are the 10 questions. They won't be asking only. Discussion question might come around from anywhere. What I tried is, I tried to explain. You whole picture and then you can break things out of it depending on what questions they asked to you. Because you also know that this won't be any particular test that you will get questions from this particular topic only. I would suggest means I would be It won't take half an hour for me to review this question and answer this for you. But I would suggest that focus more on understanding the concept and understanding the overall picture. That if some, because these are not technical questions per se, these are behavioral question or maybe something that how did you do it or what was this thing or what was the approach? What was the issue which we're facing? Issue was that they were deprecating a BIBA tool or the legacy system was getting deprecated. These are the pain points which was resulting into creation of this thing. If you understand the overall picture, then you can answer any question which comes up in front of you. And some questions are basically here that the question that our fifth is describe a situation where you had a prioritized task and manage your time. Effectivity to meet the project deadline. How did you handle the company priorities? And when the set is a point fifth question. These are the questions which are not exactly related to work represent, but these are some generic in general. If you try to search on chat, Gipit or on Google also you will get a better answer for this. I might do it, but I think you will get best answers on Google and chat. Gip for this because these are very generic questions that situational questions. What you can do is you can try to search on Google. You can try to paste this question on chat, Jepit or Google, and that they can give some different answers. You can generate different answers out of it. Get to know that I can answer this question in two, three different manners, correct? It will be much efficient. I'll do that. I can book this question. Yes. It's a repeat, and I'll ask that yes, it is, and this question won't be. Whole, and I would say you can come up with any of the questions. If I say personally, I got a question that what do you do in your free time? Basically, I was prepared for the technical question, and in my this much of experience, I haven't got this question. There's one word. It wasn't from technical round. It was a manager round, but I was expecting that manager will ask some technical question as or something related to work. But he just asked me that, what do you prefer doing on weekends and sleepwalk? They can ask you anything. You can't expect this thing, but you can try to prepare yourself that in certain situation question, where they're asking, how do you prioritize the work and all? You can find some best answers on Google and chat, Git and prepare yourself. But the main motto is that you should be your answer should. It should not be negative. It should be optimistic, that it should be not completely optimistic. I got the work. I complete all. You can also add some negatives to it as yes, there was some workload. It was tough to answer it. You can mention that sometimes you also miss the deadline, but you try to complete the deadlines, which was high priority work, and the project which you missed the deadline. It was least priority, and missing it wasn't hampering the business. This you prioritize the work to prioritize the you weren't able to deliver. Or the things because you were old, you had 8 hours to work daily. You can't work 12 hours a day daily, but best you can try is you prioritize to deliver the work which was high a priority and which you if you don't complete might hamper the business. That makes sense too. Let me check with the whatever the information you provide around that. I'll ask these questions in the charge. If you then I'll get some where to put exactly, but we have a question, I will be able to answer it. There's nothing issue in that, but I would suggest that because Chat, GPT, and Google will give more answers and different versions of it. Because these are general ones, but for technical, definitely I would be the person to ask any technical questions, or if there's any techno-behavioral questions, I will be the best person to reach out to. And let's say if I need to check something, I will also check if in that case, but I would definitely try to answer if there's any technical question. Sure, definitely. At this time, I was basically looking, these are the things. How to answer, what are the scenarios, how to face, these are the things. A little bit harder to explain the situation, the technical questions, at least the other way think there are some other insights. Also, it's hard to answer. That's where I thought of checking with your real time experience. That's where I thought of getting some information out of it. Exactly. Basically, as per my experience, they won't ask much scenarios. You also won't get time. Basically, the timeline of interviews half an hour to 1 hour, max 1 hour is the most, and in that 15 minutes. Of course, in the basic introduction for the interview panel, and you and the rest will be the technical questions, and I think 2 or 3 scenarios will the max which you can accommodate into the timeline, and basically you should be prepared for cost questions only which can come from anywhere. But the confidence is the key. If you answer the things by confidence, it's you are. If you are not able to answer something, you can admit it as I don't no particular thing. But let's say if they ask you 5 questions in order to answer one question, but you answer 4 questions correctly, that should be also fine because it's important that you can answer majority of the things or you sound confident with your book. The confidence is the key in the end. Got and as I mentioned, the practice. The more you practice, the more you will gain confidence. See the confidence because from where because you are sure that any concept the thing the more you will polish the things you the more you will work. Meantime you have tenant access, utilize this trend to work more onto it, and once you also get into your work, try to work on topics which are not assigned to you just to gain confidence or just to see all the things which are already built in the tenant. Let's say you joined any organization and you got only one task. But let's say there's already 2, 3 tasks already created in the organization, 2, 3 projects created. You can review those projects. Please do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@therightuptalk.com.